Welcome back to Sports Talk is McKimmie, the number one rated podcast in Gassville, Arkansas. And this is another record-breaking edition. We got the Zen Master Mike Kimmy along with the loose cannon David McBee and a very special guest this week, the one and only Joey Softball, Joey Shaw, who is also the owner of SRE Enterprises. We're going to have him on for a special interview later.
Our major sponsor.
Our primary sponsor, the one who allows us all the extravagant, things we've talked on shows about. Going on the road to Cincinnati, going down to, Mississippi. We've been all over the country. Thanks to Shaw Rental Enterprises.
Yeah, we just got to give a shout out to Joey Softball. We've been to Baton Rouge. We've been to Tuscaloosa. We've been to Cincinnati. We've been in the Ohio River. Thank you so much. Every place we've gone has been just Class A. Donald Trump. Huge. It's been huge.
Well, Mike, I'll tell you, Donald Trump has nothing on Joey Shaw and Shaw Rental Enterprises. And speaking, you mentioned Donald Trump. His famous thing is to say, "You're fired." Let's talk about firings in the NBA this week. Let's talk about the number one story coming out of Cleveland, Ohio. David Blatt and the Cleveland Cavaliers separated. Blatt was fired. 30-11, number one in the Eastern Conference. Blatt was let go. What in the world is going on in Cleveland, Mike?
Well, you've got two schools of thought. You've got, on the one hand, who's running the franchise? LeBron? Is LeBron in charge? Does the LeBron want him out? But you hear lots of other stories about, the coaching switch and the firing. Lots of people said they saw it coming, that there was a disconnect between the coach and the players, that there just wasn't that belief that he could take them to the next level, especially after that huge defeat at the hands of the Golden State Warriors, down by 43 points, lost by 34, biggest home loss in Cleveland Cavaliers history, followed shortly thereafter by a loss to the Spurs. But even though one of the things we miss is that they beat the Spurs, who are they're not exactly chopped meat at this point. But, so 30-11, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, come on, you're the best team in the East. And on the other hand, if you're going to make a switch, maybe this is the time to make the switch, to give Ty Lue the chance to build this team up for the postseason.
Well, you're talking about a coach who, in his first year, took the Cleveland Cavaliers to the NBA Finals. Second year has them number one in the Eastern Conference, despite not having Kyrie Irving for a long part of the season. Last year, when Blatt initially came in, they did not have LeBron James. It was about rebuilding and developing a team that did not have LeBron. It was going to be based around Kyrie Irving. It was going to be a rebuilding process. Of course, James comes in. Then you have Kevin Love comes in, and it seems like from the beginning, he never had the respect. Of course, Kyrie Irving used the word virgin NBA coach last year when he described David Blatt. It seemed like he never had the respect of his players, but he took them to an NBA championship. If Kyrie Irving's not hurt in the NBA Finals, we might be talking about the Cleveland Cavs trying to repeat. And they bring in another person who doesn't have, he's got assistant coach experience, but no head coach experience. What in the world, if you're number one in the Eastern Conference with having your main point guard out a huge section of the year, to me it makes no sense. And I understand what you're saying. You want them to beat the Golden State Warriors and the Spurs, because it's ultimately going to come to one of those two teams they're playing in the NBA Finals. But to let it go as long as it did, and they were winning games, but to me, this just seems like a LeBron James power pull, and it seems like the Cleveland Cavaliers are keeping LeBron happy because they don't want to lose him in a couple of years when his contract comes due, Mike.
They don't want to lose him to the Los Angeles Lakers, which is what I see happening in a couple of years, no matter what happens in Cleveland. But aside from that, one thing that we saw in the aftermath of this firing is that the coaches around the league were very unhappy at the thought that such a successful coach, 20 games over 500, could be fired as Blatt was. And Popovich spoke out about it. Kerr spoke out about it. Many different coaches spoke out about it. And it is troublesome if it was a LeBron James decision. I don't know. I'm not willing yet to say that LeBron James forced this to happen, but I think it would also be naive to say that he had no hand in it.
Well, Mike, LeBron, of course, he came out today and said he had nothing to do with the decision that the Cleveland Cavaliers made. To me, it just completely throws the team off. I mean, they're 30-11. They're number one in the Eastern Conference. To make a change like that in the middle of the season. Then, of course, tonight, they played the Chicago Bulls. Ty Lue's first game as coach. They lost. He's 0-1 as coach. It just seems like, to me, they put in a coach to make LeBron happy. It's all about making sure they're keeping LeBron happy. And to me, I just do not think that was a good decision. Of course, Rick Carlisle, the head of the NBA Association on Coaches, spoke out today about how unbelievable it was that you have a coach who goes to the NBA Finals and then comes back and they're number one in the Eastern Conference, and then all of a sudden he's let go. All the coaches are in shock over it. To me, it's a LeBron James power pull. I think him and his agent had a lot to go into that decision. I think they put the pressure on the Cleveland Cavaliers organization, and I think things like this is why the Cleveland Cavaliers have never won an NBA championship. Just the inability of them to take a stand by letting LeBron James run their team. I might be completely wrong, but Mike, my gut feeling tells me this is going to blow up in the Cleveland Cavaliers' face.
It's going to be really awkward when you have the coach of last year's championship team, representative rather, from the Eastern Conference, and the whoever wins the conference, they coach the All-Star team the next year. So you've got this coach who has no job, but yet is assigned right now as it is, unless there's any change made in the next week or so, that he's going to be coaching the Eastern squad against the Western squad, even though he has no job. So it is troubling in an aspect, but that's sports. I mean, we've seen, in several aspects. We saw Paul Westhead get fired mid-season, Pat Riley take the Lakers to the championship. We've had 3 times in history, and that being one of them, where a coach was fired mid-season and then took his team to the NBA championship, but never in the history of the NBA has the leader of his conference been fired and then his team went on to capture a championship of that conference.
Well, Mike, I think you have a coach at a 70% winning percentage lose his job. To me, the inmates are running the asylum in Cleveland We'll have to see how it plays out. But to me, I think Cleveland, I got it. My gut is telling me this is going to blow up in their face. Anytime you let the inmates run the asylum, it's not a good thing. But we're getting ready to go to break here on Sports Talk is McKinney. We'll be right back with our special guest, the one and only Joey Softball, here on Sports Talk is McKinney.